Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future?
One of the greatest tools you have at your disposal in your journey to becoming successful is failure. Not only your failure, but other people's failures as well. It is one of the most underrated tools when it comes to learning how to grow and how to become successful. Failure has this massive negative connotation, which yes, failing does suck. Failing isn't fun, but it's necessary for you to learn and for you to understand how things work.
When I run out of we might have fallen asleep, but at least he wouldn't have run over that cyclist.
Thomas Edison took hundreds of times to build a light bulb. If he would have given up or not taken any of that information that he had failed with, we would never have light. But he didn't. He learned from each and every time he failed. He took that information to learn what didn't work so that eventually he could find what worked. We learn the most and understand so much more when things don't go our way. Then you're forced to change, you're forced to grow, and you're forced to learn what you can improve upon and how you can improve upon it and what ways and avenues truly work for you in order to increase your productivity to become successful.
If you just take that approach of you're always to some degree wrong,
it always works out that the last time you do something is the most successful you will be. So if you go ahead and stop after 3 or 4 attempts, that's not going to work. You're going to have to keep doing it, improving upon it each time. So that way the last time you do it is the time that you succeed. And once you do that, you'll be so thankful for each and every time that you failed because you learned something, you gained something that will further improve how you operate and how you go about your life.
I think it actually goes beyond that because there are many things that we take for granted today that weren't even imagined. You can go much further deep than you can go up. The deepest mines are much deeper than the tallest buildings are tall. So you can alleviate any arbitrary level of urban congestion with the 3D tunnel network. This is a very important point. So a key rebuttal to the tunnels is that if you add one layer of tunnels, then that will simply alleviate congestion, will get used up. Actually, if you just do 2 things, you can get to approximately an order of magnitude improvement, and I think you can go beyond that. We think we might, so we developed a little pusher car to push the student pods, but we're going to try seeing how fast we can make the pusher go if it's not pushing something in the world's fastest bullet train, even in a 0.8 mile stretch. A future that is inspiring and appealing. I mean, I just think that there have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? And being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have.
And people have asked me, like, well, why are rockets, especially hard? And part of it is like everything has to work the first time. Like there's no, you can't do a recall, you can't patch it. It's like 9 minutes to orbit or it's over. You can never test the rocket completely in the environment that it's actually going to experience. You can't fully recreate something that's moving super fast in a vacuum on the surface of Earth. Like you can only really recreate that in space. When we started SpaceX and Tesla, I really thought the probability of success was very low. I mean, it wasn't like I think, oh, we'll definitely be successful. I thought we'd be like maybe 10% likely. And we came very close to both companies not succeeding in 2008. We had the 3 failures of the SpaceX rocket. So we were 0 for 3. The crazy financial recession, like the Great Recession. Tesla financing round had fallen apart because it's pretty hard to raise money for a startup car company if GM and Chrysler are going bankrupt. That was a tricky one. And unfortunately, at the end of 2008, the 4th launch, that was the last launch we had money for, worked for SpaceX, and then we closed the Tesla financing round, as you know, Christmas Eve 2008, last hour of the last day that it was possible.
Even not just speed, qualitatively, the access to information was so limited before. I mean, now technically, you could teach yourself anything. Previously, say, universities had somewhat of a monopoly on higher education, but now MIT has all of their lectures online. You can buy all of the textbooks. You can do the tests online. You can learn anything you want. Almost, I'm not sure what you couldn't learn online. You can learn right now online for free more than someone who did a doctorate could do before. I just think about how we can improve the experience for the owner of the car. How can we make it the most fun, the most functional? What can we do to have them love the product as much as possible? And if somebody else makes a better product, then more power to them, then I guess we should lose. I feel quite comfortable in predicting that the vast majority of Earth's electricity generation will be solar and solar and wind, I should say. So wind has actually I've been surprised just how good wind has gotten. Wind power is extremely low cost. In fact, a lot of the best wind turbines are made in Germany. So numbers are extremely good. That needs to be paired with large battery packs in order to to buffer the wind power because the wind speed changes and sometimes it doesn't. But people want steady electricity. They don't want to just have electricity when the wind's blowing.
I find as I get older, I find that question to be maybe more and more confusing or troubling or uncertain. I think particularly when you see the advancement of something like video games. You know, like say 40 years ago, you had video games. The most advanced video game would be like Pong, where you had like 2 rectangles and a dot. You know, like batting it back and forth. And that was like, wow, that was a pretty fun game at the time. But now you can see a video game that's photorealistic, almost photorealistic, and millions of people playing simultaneously. And you see where things are going with virtual reality and augmented reality. And if you extrapolate that out into the future with any rate of progress at all, like even 0.1% or something like that, then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality. They'll be so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and the reality as we know it. And then how do we know that that didn't happen in the past and that we're not in one of those games ourselves?